Hi, this is Saturday today, the 25th of July, and this is Summer's Way of Life. I want to talk about freedom and what my perspective of freedom is. So when we are able to completely surrender all of our existing belief systems, so much so that we can remove that word from our dictionary, and that's our conditioning from birth by our parents or whoever raised us, religious denominations or what we've been told that we must believe, whatever type of faith or religion that is, our education system, how we've been schooled that we even need to go to school, the medical system, let's not even start there, which is the most insidious of them all, and every belief system. And there's also the belief system that we've carried over, that our soul has carried over from previous lives or parallel lives, because they're not previous, they're parallel, once the study of who we are is delved into in more detail. And this is physics again. So once we've done that, once we've surrendered our belief systems, there is an empty slate. There's an emptiness. It's like a canvas, and that canvas, from that canvas we can create anything we want to, because there's absolutely nothing holding us back. It's full of possibilities. Now, we have to also bear in mind that the emotions that we feel, and it's a very human, I'm not going to call it a dis-ease, because that would indicate that it's negative, and it isn't. It's actually a tool. Emotions are actually a tool, but the human race, I'm saying that as opposed to many other beings all over our cosmos, because we're not alone here. And they are all here too, once you're able to perceive them. But I don't want to digress. Human beings have been blessed or cursed, or however you want to see it. They've been given emotions. And when I talked about letting go of belief systems, when you've really let them go, then you also let go of all forms of judgment and greed and anger and sadness and all the negative vibratory behaviours, and when that happens, you won't have low vibrationary emotions. So when emotions come up, for most people, emotions are emotions tend to be some kind of a low vibratory trait, usually. Because when I talk about joy and bliss, it's not really an emotion, it's a state of being. I'm talking this through while I'm chatting to you. So when one of these low vibratory emotions come in, handling them is a tool in itself. But I don't want to talk about that today. That's something I'd love to share with you in another video. But what I'm saying right now is that once we let go of all our belief systems, truly surrender them, and that includes the negative emotions that stem from trauma, then we have this, anything is possible. And when we hear something or read something, we will be able to discern whether or not that is truth. And how? Because discernment stems from the heart, and the heart understands the truth. The heart knows. Whereas judgment discerns from a belief system. What I wanted to talk about is that once you've got that clean slate, and it takes all of us, for many of us it can take a lifetime. I'm still working through so many, even though I'm mentally aware of what needs to be done, and I've been working through them for many, many years, and they keep coming up, and they will. They're supposed to come up so that you can be objective about them, see them, feel them, think about how you're feeling at the time, and then let them go. There's different ways of doing that, but once you've got that empty slate and you start to really look into who we are, once we do that, we will know that we have an etheric body, which we've got this solid structure here, which is a very third dimensional structure that's become solid because of our own perception of reality. But we have an etheric body, and the etheric body, which is a waveform body, different other dimensions of who we are, is pretty perfect, because it doesn't suffer full stop, but the etheric body is pure light, it's pure love, and it doesn't suffer from any dis-ease, but it is affected by what we think. See, when we've let go of everything, we'll also understand that every single thought that we have is no different to speaking out words. In fact, I would argue that it's even more potent, because we are a waveform, and every thought that emanates from our mind or from consciousness, because consciousness is everywhere, will affect the etheric body depending on the type of thought, and then will enter our physical. I would say, from my perspective, that it enters the etheric first as a thought waveform, and then enters our physical. And then when low vibratory thoughts are continuous, that's what then damages our physical form, in the term of what mainstream third dimensional reality calls illness. But of course there's no such thing as illness. It's all imbalance. It's just an imbalance of the physical body. And what we need to do, and what we are doing, and what humanity is doing right now with the help of the light, the solar flares that are coming in from the sun, the cosmos, the help from other form beings in our cosmos and universe. Oh, that's another peach that's just fallen off the tree, not quite right. What is happening is that we are becoming more aware and speaking in the way I am, and the recognition and the realization that our purpose here, from a collective standpoint and from an individual standpoint, is to evolve. And the process of evolution involves that our physical body and our etheric body meld together, and that's where the term light body comes from, where we dissolve some of that denseness that we have, and we start to receive all ledger of knowing from within our heart space, and from our very first sense, which is inner tuition. That's not our sixth sense. We were born with inner tuition. And then when that happens, I'm painting with a very broad, thick paintbrush at the moment, because there's so many questions that can come up with everything I'm saying. But when that happens, we start to recognize, knowing that we're beings of energy, that everything we absorb around us affects our consciousness and then our evolution. So right now, that's why we say sit in nature, because nature is pure consciousness of love. And when you're sitting in the arms of nature, especially around trees or in the presence of water or a river or sea, I'm sitting here and I'm surrounded in my garden by 4 fruit trees, a peach tree, fig tree right behind me, as you can see, and then on the other side here I've got a lovely apple tree, or 2 apple trees actually, there's another one there, and then behind me is a Victoria plum tree. I'm surrounded by Eden. Garden of Eden is full of fruits, beautiful fruits. When you're in that environment and in that energy, and when you also recognize that what you consume to help you meld with your etheric body must be energetically pure. And I'm going to come to the subject of eating meat, which is anything but pure, because it's an animal that's been killed. That's death energy. But I'm going to come on to that, because I've eaten meat all my life, and I still do very rarely, simply because the dense body structure that I am is used to it, and you don't just stop something. But I am on the journey to stopping eating all any form of energy. I think in terms of energy now, that has a low vibration to it, because that's going to affect who I am and how I think and how I behave. And I want purity of heart. We're all going that way. It is not the natural human form to eat meat, and who would have thought that I would ever say that? But that's another brushstroke on the canvas I'm speaking to you about. But then there's also how we speak to people, the tone of our voice, and then we'll start to experience what it feels like once we ask. Again, we can talk to, we have a higher version of ourselves. A lot of people call that your angel. Think of it, for those of you who are finding it really difficult because of your belief systems. What is she talking about? Woo-woo. That's all belief systems. I'm speaking from the premise today that you let go of them. You can use any word you like. You can use your higher self. You can use the higher dimension of who you are. And then you can even talk to Source, which many people call God. The source of God is actually within us, and it's everywhere. It's omnipotent. The idea of a creator or God being separate to us or more superior to us doesn't make any sense at all, or I could say nonsense. No, that's what creates division. Your hierarchy, you're better than I am. No, we are all made of love. You must absorb this truth. In Lakesh, which is the Mayan term, is I am another yourself. And that's just not to human beings, but that's to everything. That includes animals, that includes trees, the soil, an ant. I am another yourself. When we recognize that we are all part of Source, in a kind of individual form, to fulfill what we have come here on earth in particular to do, then it is virtually impossible to separate ourselves from anything, and anything that we do will be working towards the benefit of the betterment of the whole. If some of this makes sense to you intellectually from your mind, it kind of makes sense to you, but you're thinking, how on earth does anyone, how do we live this life doing that? Again, that's a low vibratory response, but it's a natural response. Just go and spend time alone in nature as much as you can, and slow down and quieten your mind and ask for help. Ask your higher self. You've got to ask, and ask out loud. Help me understand who I am. Help me find love in my heart. It does sound like I'm waffling, but there's some very important points I've made here today, and that's what I wanted to share. And it's a process of letting go of the belief systems, bit by bit by bit. I mean, I never would have thought in a million years that I'd be talking about not eating meat, ever. I was an advocate of pro-meat, but it's not about meat. I'm not talking about meat. I'm talking about taking in a low vibrational energy, because I know that I'm pure energy, and that is a low vibrational energy. It's taking a life that's been given. You cannot do that. And if your belief tells you that, you've got to question it. I know many people who eat meat, and when I say to them, there's a chicken over there, can you go over to that chicken please? And they don't use the word murder, they use the word sacrifice, because that helps compartmentalize it for them. These are the same people who own a dog or a cat, and you say, go and get me a chicken, and can you please, quote unquote, sacrifice it and bring it here? They can't do it. Oh, I can't do that. Well, why can't you? Because there's something in your heart that knows it's wrong. It's barbaric, kind of evil, right? But we can't compartmentalize and believe that we need that for our health. We don't actually understand what health is. That's the thing. Because we're thinking of our physical form. The moment we connect to our energetic form, the whole body chemistry will change over time, and you'll become lighter, and you'll start eating not just, forget meat, that'll be out of the question, but you'll be very careful of the environment around you, the frequencies, Wi-Fi, all of those things that actually make holes in our etheric body. Sugar, cane sugar in particular, is no different to snorting cocaine, the effect it has on the mind, and it again strips a big hole in our etheric body. You'll realize the importance of the pineal gland we have, and you want to open that to allow that metformin. I think it's metformin, I can't remember the name of the particular chemical. Not melatonin, there's another one. Anyway, it's irrelevant, you can look that up. But once that starts to happen, you'll realize it's got nothing to do with meat or not meat. It's the energy that you're putting in you. And eventually, as you start to meld with your etheric body, you are going to stop wanting to eat. You won't feel hungry, because you'll be satiated with beautiful energy of nature, just light, water. We are water. We're water people. We communicate telepathically. How? It's through the water of our being. Air is water. Through the waters of our being. And when that happens, we won't really need to eat much at all. I'll just pick an apple off the tree, and that will be enough. It's already started to happen. I'm kind of finding that I'm forcing myself to eat. I'm not hungry. It's wonderful, and part of that, of course, is the heat as well. But just be aware of all these things that start to happen when you recognize who you are and you let go of all your belief systems, and you deal with all your emotional trauma that will come up and know how to handle it. I will talk more about that in detail in another video. Well, have a lovely Saturday. It's beautiful, it's very warm here, and I'm off to get on with the day.